name is Corey Fleming, Library Director for the City of Paterson. Welcome to the Paterson Public Library. Today is Saturday. We're doing Saturday programming. Today we had the opportunity of having a sports broadcasting academy provided by representatives from the ESPN and CBS, and it's just a phenomenal program that we're having today. Programs like these, we continue to invest in our city, in our residents, in our library program overall. We think that it's critical of the use of the public library, the use of the space, the use of the books, the services, the technology. Libraries are a very, very vital part of education. It's a very, very vital part of any city, and to just be in charge of a city's library is one of the most phenomenal experiences that I can have. If you ask me for one word, I would just say impact. The impact that the work that we do every day is just critical to the growth of our residents, to the growth of our city, and just being able to take the services and being able to provide library services to community that's definitely in need. It's just a phenomenal place to be. Saturdays, Paterson Free Public Library. Stay tuned for more and exciting various programs that we have. We're thinking outside the box. We're bringing things to your doorsteps, and we are very delighted that you guys are coming to participate in our programming and to experience some of these unique programs and services that we're bringing to you. Thank you.
How you guys doing? You having fun so far?
Yeah.
Great, great. Just briefly, my name is Keith Idek. I was a sports writer for the Record and the Herald News for 23 years before I went to work for a boxing website, which I do now. I cover strictly boxing now, but I've covered all the sports throughout the years at high school, college, and professional levels. So if you have any questions for me later on, feel free to ask about what it's like to be a reporter and a writer. I've done that for 3 decades. But primarily, we're here for Rory Sparrow, who has, for you guys who don't know, Rory is from Paterson, proof positive that you can be anything that you want to be in this world. Rory has a degree from Villanova, an engineering degree from Villanova University, one of the most prestigious private universities in the entire country. Went on to play in the NBA for 12 seasons. He played for the Nets. He played for the Atlanta Hawks. Had a great run with the Knicks in the mid-'80s. Later played for, I believe, Sacramento, Miami, and then had a very successful post-playing career while working for the NBA for a long time, which I'm sure he'll be able to tell you about. So I just wanted you guys to realize the Knicks are in the playoffs right now. You guys like basketball? You guys watch basketball a little bit? Joel, you said you're a Knicks fan, right? 40 years ago, Rory was, I don't want to date him, but 40 years ago at this time in 1984, Rory was the point guard for the New York Knicks, and he led the Knicks to the second round of the playoffs, which they're in right now against Indiana, in a 7-game series against the Boston Celtics, which they unfortunately lost, but they made it all the way to the conference semifinals, and Rory was a huge part of that. So he's one of the most prominent people to ever come out of Paterson, and again, proof positive that you guys can be whatever you want, however you want to go about it. So, you have any questions?
Were you there when PJ Brown and Charlie
I wasn't there. I watched it on TV. I know PJ very well, and I know Charlie very well, and both of those guys are fierce competitors. And what happens in games like that is that once you're on the court, they're not friends. They're no friends. You try to follow your team's game plan, and the other team tries to follow their team's game plan. And if your coach, like Riles was at that time, was pushing guys to be more aggressive, you sometimes go come out of your character. So both of those guys are great Christian players, believe in turning the other cheek, but because of the intensity of that playoff game, there was no turning cheeks. It was like, you get some and I can get some.
Guys, I want this to be an interactive experience for you guys as well, so feel free to ask Rory any questions and jump in. You know, Rory played, like I said, 12 seasons in the NBA, and he played against some of the the most legendary players in the history of the game. He played against Michael Jordan. He played against Magic Johnson. He played against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Isaiah Thomas. You know, he played against everybody throughout the course of his career. So I'm sure, you know, he has plenty of stories to tell over the course of that great career. So if you guys have any questions for Rory, feel free to jump in. I'd just like to ask Rory, what's the most, I know it's hard to pinpoint one moment, but what's the most memorable thing that you took away from your NBA career?
Well, what I think I liked most about being in the NBA was to get a chance to see the whole country, to interact with fans all over the world. I mean, we've been to Paris, we've been to London, been to South America, we've been all over, in China, Korea, Japan, and every place you go, people were so receptive to the game of basketball. It didn't matter if you sat on the bench. It didn't matter if you started or if you were a star, because you couldn't move in a lot of those cities. So what I enjoyed probably more than anything was the receptivity of fans and their appreciation of what we were trying to do from a skill standpoint. And you know, each city is different, but they're all beautiful. And each group of people that you meet are interesting. And if you just take the time, whether you are an NBA player or you're just a regular person, to get to know and introduce and interact with people, you'll find out that the world is a beautiful place to be.
Rory was one of the best defensive guards in the NBA during his time in the league. I was just curious if you could maybe tell the group who was the toughest person for you to guard? Or maybe give us the 3 toughest people to guard.
There were so many tough people. Obviously, playing against Michael Jordan was difficult because he was such a competitor, so skilled, so athletic. And, you know, when you can shoot the ball anytime you want against an opponent, it makes it much more difficult for you to guard him. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the strongest. He didn't jump the highest. But his combination of skill sets and athletic ability with his mindset made him the best and the toughest to guard. But other people that some of you guys probably don't know, Andrew Toney was a difficult guard for me because the first time I played against him was in preseason. And I have a friend that I went to high school with, Tony Murphy. And Tony Murphy is from Paterson as well. He led the nation in scoring and while he was in college at Southern. And Southern used to play McAnee State all the time where Andrew Toney went. And they used to battle each other. And Tony Murphy had told me, hey, he's not that good. You can do this, you can do that, you can do this to him. So when I went to play him, I was really surprised how good he really was and how he got better and better. And then he was just a very difficult guard for me because he was physical and he could really shoot the ball. And Isaiah Thomas would be another difficult player. He's had so many ball handling skills and tricks. He could shoot the ball. He was tough. He was a dog. He was gritty. He was smart. And, you know, it was just fun every night really trying to compete against these guys because my whole motto from a defensive standpoint is right now, it doesn't matter who you are, it's me versus you. You got to prove to me right now that you're better than me. And every play, that's the way I attacked players. Show me. If you are that guy that they say you are, show me right now.
Are you guys familiar with Isaiah Thomas? I know he's obviously retired for a long time. You're familiar with Isaiah? Yeah, a little bit. He was an elite level player, and as I mentioned earlier, Rory and the Knicks beat Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons in the playoffs that year. It was several years before the Pistons went on to win NBA championships, but that was a huge series for the Knicks at that time, and they, of course, went on to play Larry Bird and the Celtics in the following round. You have a question, Miguel?
Amigo Bautista, nice to meet you. You had the opportunity to be there, right? For you, who is the best player of all the time?
Of all time, in my experience, the best player I ever played against or ever seen play was Michael Jordan. I hear the debate about Kobe. I hear the debate about LeBron. And LeBron may be the best player for the longest in terms of longevity. He may break every record and have every record because he's still playing at 39 at a high level. But in terms of impact, in terms of skill and ability to change a game and make a game his game, Michael Jordan was by far, in my estimation, the best player that I've seen.
If you could go back to playing basketball, would you?
What? Of course. If I could go back and be athletic and be able to wake up the next morning without all these aches and pains, of course. Basketball is an amazing sport because individually you have to do your job. But collectively as a team, you develop a camaraderie and friendships that last the rest of your lives because you guys all work together to achieve a goal. And that's special. And in life, you'll find that that's one of the main things that you're going to look for is that people that think like you and work like you coming together to achieve a goal.
I have one question. If you can play in today's NBA in your prime, do you think you can still be one of the better defensive players?
No. The rules now are so much in favor of the offensive player. The step back three is a walk. I don't care what y'all say, it's traveling. There was a walk, it was traveling. The lack of the ability to touch from a tactical standpoint to let you know how close and how fast a guy is going puts the defense at a disadvantage. I would not have been as effective as defensively because I wasn't as quick or as strong as some of those guys that are doing this now. But if I had my knowledge that I have now as an old guy and my athletic ability as a young guy, I may have been able to push guys in directions they wouldn't want to go. But the rules are so much in favor of the offense now that it's very hard to find really good defensive players. But the young kid last night, what's his name?
Halliburton?
No, not Halliburton. The defensive kid, Neymar.
Yeah.
But he played a great, number of series on Jalen because he was able, in playoff basketball, they let you do it a little more. He was able to put his hands on him. And what we used to be able to do is when we put our hands on you, you learn to grip a guy's waist and you could actually control how he goes. And then that's how you would find out who was really skilled, because if you could control him and he still be able to do what he wants to do, you know he was a really good offensive player. Whereas today's game, you have guys doing all those things, but nobody's really controlling them. And so I look at it and say, yeah, he's good, but I don't know how he would have done in my era.
Well, you have a question, right?
You said you played 12 seasons
Yes.
in basketball. What was your favorite team to play with?
Well, all of them are great, dude, because, let me tell you something about basketball. When you go and you just drop down the city, you're going to have fans that love you for no reason because you're on that team. And you're going to make a lot of money. You're going to live a great lifestyle. You're going to live in a great house. You're going to travel. You're going to see the world. So every city was a great city. But the city that I loved the most was Sacramento, when I played with the Sacramento Kings. And it wasn't because of the team, and it wasn't because of the city, and it wasn't because of the money, and it wasn't because of the fans, but it was because of Wayman Tisdale. Wayman Tisdale was my center at the time, a small forward, rest his soul. One of the funniest, nicest guys you'll ever meet. And he took me in when I landed there and made me his boy. And we would just hang out and laugh. I spent the whole year laughing and having a great time. And that was my best team that I've ever played on because of my experience with him.
Wayman Tisdale was a heck of a musician, too, wasn't
He ended up being a great jazz musician, and unfortunately he died of bone cancer at an early age.
Yeah, that is true. We're a very accomplished jazz musician he was. Speaking of the Kings, I think you had your career high, 32.
Yeah.
In one game
Yeah.
with the Kings, as well with that. But talking about the NBA compared to now, compared to when you play, talk about the difference in regular season and now the playoff seems to be a little bit back in your area in terms of the physicality in which the officials let them play. Talk a little bit about that. Talk about stars disappearing and people showing up because of that.
Well, I think one of the things that you got to realize in the different eras is that when you play in a positionless game of basketball, which is changed to now, when I played, there was a point guard. And the point guard did point guard things, like dribble, get to a spot, find a big guy, make him be better, more effective, or penetrate, get in the lane and make something happen. Now everybody does that. And you don't have the rules that keep you from doing that. But the challenge is you have to be more skilled and more effective. And because kids are coming out earlier than in college training, they don't get as much preparation for the pros. That's the backdrop. Now, when you get to the pros, you go through the regular season. The regular season is a grind. It's 82 games. You're traveling. You're playing three games a week, and it's a tough grind physically. But then when you get to the playoffs, it's all about focusing on that guy. I'm going to play you every day for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to know your every move. I'm going to know what you like to do. I'm going to be right behind you. Every time you go to the bathroom, I'm going to be outside the door waiting. That's the kind of intensity you bring to the playoffs. So guys who are not skilled, even though they did well in the regular season, but guys who are not skilled, then it becomes apparent where you lack, because teams then try to push you in the areas that you don't like being comfortable. And that's why, when you look at some players during the regular season, they'll average 20-some points. And then some players during the regular season will average 10 points. But then in the playoffs, they'll average 20. Then they say, it's playoff Jimmy Butler or playoff Jamal Murray. Because when it gets to be, when these guys who do have skill, and it gets to be very focused as to what they need to do, they're able to rise to that level. Guys without the skill, without all of that, they fall away from performing at that level.
In today's NBA, Rory, who are the young players that you look at as the future of the league right now?
Well, Luka is a phenomenal talent. Plays that European style of basketball, which we're getting closer and closer to. He can pass, he can rebound. He's a little lacking in the defensive area, but he's a great shooter. He can dominate a game. Personally, I don't like him handling the ball as much as he does, but that's another. Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, for all you guys in Minnesota.
Malachi likes him, I can see it.
He's an amazing talent. He has the potential to be up in the Kobe, Mike, LeBron conversation at some point as he continues to develop. I like Donovan Mitchell. I think he's an unbelievable talent. He's versatile, all areas of the game. And I like Halliburton. I think he's quirky shot, but his craftiness with the ball in terms, one of the things that he does when you guys, young guys who understand or don't learn in basketball, he throws the ball out away from his body further than most guys. Most guys, when he penetrates, they penetrate with the ball closer to his body. And that's because that makes him very herky-jerky. He'll throw the ball way out there, and that makes you have to go as a defender over there, and then he quickly slashes back on the other side. So he's a very crafty player, and I'm really going to continue to watch him to see just how he continues to develop. But he's going to be a very good player in our league as well. Jalen Brunson, I don't know what to say about this kid. I mean, he is tough. He's skilled. He knows how to play. He plays an old school type of game. He's in New York, so he's going to get a lot of pub. So he may be another face. I mean, it's not pretty. It's not pretty every shot, but he's really effective. So make sure you continue to watch him as well.
From
One more question.
one Knicks point guard to another.
Well, you actually touched on right what I was going to ask you. You've played back in that era. You've seen some greats. You went to Villanova. Does Jalen remind you of anyone, or a hybrid or combination of anyone that you've played with or seen while you were in the NBA?
No, because he handles the ball too much. So back in my day, only Isaiah got that privilege to be able to decide, okay, I'm going to hold the ball for 20 seconds and then take a shot. Jalen is very physical with his game, and he's herky-jerky. But what's amazing about him is his center of gravity. He keeps his feet in a way that he just needs you to move a little bit, and he's able to take advantage of with the angles that he creates. So I'm not sure he could create those angles with hand checking. Whereas without hand checking, I think you can create those angles, because some of those times when you're herky-jerky, you just push into the guy and push him off his spot. And then, with the step back now of being effective in the game, if you take that away, I don't know if a lot of these guys score so easily. I mean, you can think of James Harden, with the way he plays, is all pity-pat, and then step back again. Like, in what era is that real? But if you take that away, would he have been effective? I don't know. He's a good shooter, so he would have had some impact on the game, but I don't think he'd been the James Harden that we know. So, it's eras, it's rules, it's what's allowed, what's not allowed. And then, having trained under that, we really don't know if he grew up in my era and he had to learn how to play with hand checking, would he still be as effective? We don't know. But he's a very skilled individual.
Joel Salcedo, ABC Sports. How'd you feel when getting pressured by both Jordan and D Rose?
Well, I just say that, one of the things that we try to do is that we just try to make sure that we get the ball up the court earlier, and so we relieve a lot of the pressure from Jordan and D Rose. And then on the other end, I got a lot of help from Ray Williams and from the other Billy Cartwright in the middle, as well as Patrick Ewing, to keep Jordan from coming in and dunking on us.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Miguel Bautista from ESPN. Do you think basketball changed your life, and what do you say to people who do not risk starting their career in any sport?
Yeah, well, basketball definitely changed my life. It gave me an opportunity from being from Paterson, New Jersey, with living in the projects where I grew up, and gave me a chance to see more of the world and have a great lifestyle. And I would tell anybody that if you have, tell all of you that you have skills. You can be anything that you want to be, but you got to make the effort. You got to be dedicated. There's going to be hard work. There's going to be commitment. There's going to be a whole lot of things that you have to bring to the equation. But if you decide that that's what you want to do, playing team sports and even individual sports will help you grow and be a better person.
Malachi Spencer, ESPN.
Well, you're dual personality. You got two mics there.
Mr. Rory, how do you feel that you got your career high tonight?
Career high in assists, well, it was easy. When you have Bernard King and Ray Williams and Billy Cartwright and Patrick Ewing on the same team, it's easy to get assists. Sometimes you just throw the ball up and they put it in. So for me, I feel honored to be on this team and to be around these guys.
Thank you.
Aubrey Nera, SPN. I gotta talk louder. Aubrey Nera, SPN. Why did you want to start basketball?
No comment. I just thought I'd throw that out there every now because athletes will tell you that no comment. And what are you gonna do then?
That's another one.
No, what was the question again? Could you repeat it?
Why did you want to start basketball?
To become more popular. So I was a baseball player, and I loved the game of baseball. Played but that most of my early life, and but all the cool kids were down in the back at the basketball court, and I wanted to start hanging out with them, and so I started playing basketball and fell in love with it.
Cameron Facey, ESPN. What would you like to do when your career is over?
What I love to do is play tennis and golf and travel the world once my career is over. And when I retired, that's what I did for 2 years until the NBA recruited me again, and I became the vice president of player development.
Wow. Okay, thanks.
Jazier Brown from ESPN. Did you ever get injured playing basketball?
Yes, I had several injuries as a player, but nothing major. My knees were intact, my ankles were intact, my shoulders were intact, but I've had twisted ankles, I've had broken fingers, I've had cuts over my eyes, busted lips, elbows to the throat. Injuries are part of the game. And one of the things you have to do is you have to learn to either be injured or be hurt. If you're hurt, you still got to play. Injured, then you can sit down and take a break.
Thank you.
All right.
All those injuries were in one series against the Pistons, I'm pretty sure.
Muqtada Bata, ESPN.
Excuse me, who are you?
Muqtada Bata, ESPN.
Muqtada.
Muqtada Bata,
Got it.
ESPN. What are some other sports you would have considered playing apart from basketball?
Well, I would have been a baseball player if I could hit a curveball, but I never could master that as well as I should have. I would have done that. I would love to play golf, and I love the game of tennis. And believe it or not, pickleball is fun. I know, but pickleball, can you believe it? If anybody has ever played tennis, I will guarantee you that if you play singles pickleball, you get more tired playing singles pickleball than you do tennis. More activity, more movement, more action. It's crazy. Who would have thought it? But those are the three sports I would have tried to play.
Thank you.
What was the most memorable, Hamid Bata, ESPN, what was the most memorable moment you had in basketball?
Most memorable moment. Whew. From an individual standpoint, it was one night we were in Miami. And I had a pretty good night. I'm got about 27 points, and Michael Jordan's got like 30 points, and they ISO'd the two of us on the side, and he's going one-on-one against me to win the game. And I start talking to him like, "Come on, Mike, bring it," because I had played with him the year before in practice, and I thought that I knew most of his moves and could hang with him. And he said, "Rory, you don't want none of this." I said, "Oh, yes, I do. Bring it, bring it." And he brought it. Hit a bank shot off the glass, and they went on to win the game. But for that moment, I felt that I was almost equal to him, and having him as, you know, my guy, as my best player ever, I felt that I had elevated myself to that point where I was in the same conversation. That we were having a conversation about me stopping him on the court, and he was actually listening.
That was a great question.
Thank you.
To wrap this up, I would just hope that Rory could express to you guys the importance of education, because I know it was something that, you know, created the foundation for his life, and just maybe to let you know that everyone's not going to play in the NBA, obviously, and how important education is for you to have the type of life that you want.
Well, God has blessed me with a lot of different skills, and one of the skills that he really endowed me with is that I was very good at math. And all of you have a skills educationally. You're good at something, and you need to find out what that is, and once you explore that, doors open up for you. Once I understood that I was pretty good at math, I followed that, I listened to it. I got a chance to go to Lehigh University, where I got a chance to be in a minority introduction to engineering. It was such a good group of people, that program, that engineering became my thing that I wanted to do. And so when I got to play basketball and make a decision about where I wanted to go to school, every school that I considered may not have been a basketball factory, but every school I considered had a great engineering program. I ended up choosing Villanova, which mixed basketball and engineering at the same time, and it changed my life. I've never worked a day as an engineer. But the training, the analytical training, helped me become a better player development guy when I worked in the NBA. Being able to look at a series of numbers, look at a problem and come up with a solution in terms of critical thinking is one of the greatest trainings I had as an individual, and has helped me throughout my career. So for all of you in here, just realize that as soon as you start playing a sport, you're one day closer to ending that sport. And then the other question after that is, if you end doing what you love to do, which is maybe a sport, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do with the rest of your life? And this is what I asked almost every rookie that came in the league: LeBron, Kobe, Allen Iverson, Patrick Ewing, you name them. I said, if they take the ball from you, if they take whatever sport away from you, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And that's what we started working on for all the rookies that came in the league. What are you going to do with the rest of your life if they take the game of basketball or any sport away from you? So that's what you need to be thinking about. If you're playing sports, if you're interested in sports, if somehow, some way, whether you were injured or you just weren't good enough, what would you do if you couldn't do it? And I guarantee you, one of the things that you should be thinking about is the things that you love to do with your mind. Education. Read more, explore more, and ask questions. That's the only way you can learn. Never be afraid to ask questions.
Thank you. Let's have a round of applause. Stand up. Stand up. A round of applause for Mr. Keith Heidick and Mr. Rory Sparrow. Thank you so much for that interview. And thank you guys.
The library is a very, very vital institution in the city. It provides a lot of resources, education, tools. It's just the open. It opens individuals to the world. I think that it's very important that people continue to utilize libraries and never forget and never understand where they're from.
Well, talk about the programs you have here that you utilize. I see yesterday I happened to stop in. I've seen a lot of older adults here as well, a lot of kids that were here as well. So talk about how the library has grown. I came here last year. It wasn't as utilized as it is this year. Talk about how it's grown.
Okay, so last year we were still recovering from the pandemic, right? Now, as we move further and further from the pandemic, I think it's important that people understand how libraries have shifted. We kind of adapt to the needs of our residents and the needs of our patrons, and so sometimes you have to adapt. What happened in the past does not happen now, so we kind of continuously try to feed off of, the energy or feed off of the criticalness that we need from our residents. So I think so when we talk about what happened last year to this year, different services, different programs, more programs, thinking sometimes outside of the box to be able to capture and be able to, manifest from our public.
I know in being in an urban-based library, I know you have to pivot a lot. A lot of times, a lot of the patrons that come in here, or the people that utilize the library, are the underserved community. Some of them might even be homeless. Come in and take care of their paperwork or get online and do some stuff like that. Is there any programs that help them with that in terms of assisting them with doing the paperwork they need to?
Well, we do have computer classes. We do have a strong reference department of skilled professionals that actually help, filling out job applications, trying to find housing, just trying to be the connection between the resident or the patron and the outside world. It's very, when we talk about, the professionals that we have in this institution, we're trained, we're trained to deal with pretty much any customer that comes in the building and try to satisfy whatever need there is. And sometimes we just have to maybe point them into another resource outside of the organization.